All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with our Mayan pyramid, and I'm going to actually give myself what they call a stele, which is a spot where they would write their glyphs and write their history and write information. So I'm going to draw kind of a big oval shape here. At the end, I'll come back and put my glyphs in, but I want to put that in the foreground, which means the front. Okay, now I'm going to draw my step pyramid kind of in the middle here, and I'm going to start off with a nice horizontal line. And it's going to run right behind my stele, and that's okay. All right. Now that I have a good horizontal line, I'm going to do a vertical line on this side and a vertical line on this side. And then I'm going to draw another horizontal line over. And this is the bottom part of my pyramid. Okay. Now I'm going to draw another vertical line here. And you notice that I indented just a little bit, about 1 finger over. So if I indent on that side about that much, I want to indent about that much on the other side. And I want these to be about the same height. And then I'm going to draw another horizontal line over, nice and slow. Take your time, do your best. Okay. So there's my first 2 blocks of my step pyramid. I'm going to keep going. Another vertical line here. Again, I indented. Another vertical line here. About the same size. And when I'm ready, I'm going to go ahead and draw my horizontal line that goes over. Okay. Let's draw another step here. Now, if your steps are a little bit smaller than mine, sometimes in the Mayan cities they would make step pyramids that had more blocks, and sometimes they would make them bigger. It kind of depends on what kind of step pyramid you're making. So if you have more, you might have more blocks than me, and that's okay. But I'm going to keep going. Vertical line, horizontal line. Do it again. Vertical line, horizontal line. And I think mine is almost done. I'm going to put a Mayan temple at the top, but I want you to go ahead and keep going until you have room for just a little temple at the top. And I'll wait a second, because I think some of you will need to draw more blocks before we get there. My Mayan temple at the top is where the Mayan priests would go to do their religious ceremonies, whether that was observations of the stars and the moon and the sky. They had a very complex calendar and really organized their life around those things, which was incredible given the time period that they were, or other religious ceremonies. They built these step pyramids to make their temples high. They would have been the highest things in the city to put them closer to the heavens. And so my temple at the top here is just a little building, sometimes a big building, but mine's going to be kind of small. And it's just a tall rectangle. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a tall rectangular shape there. Okay. And if I take a look at the one on your paper from Chichen Itza, I notice that it has different lines and some different decorations in here. And so I'm going to go ahead and draw some horizontal lines here. I'm going to give it a couple of doorways so that you could get in a couple spots. I'm going to do 3, but you can decide how many you want to have. I might even take and flip over my paper and look at some of those glyphs. These were the writing, and I might do a little bit of writing up on the top there if you have room. So maybe I'll do the word sun. So I'm going to start with S and then go to U. See, that's my sa sound. So I'm going to start with that one here. And obviously they would write whole sentences, not just a couple glyphs. I'm just doing a couple here. But you don't have to do sun if you don't want to. And then I'm going to do N. So sun. Okay. Let's see. Oval shape. And then inside are 2 triangles. And a couple of lines there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then these kind of things that look like seeds. The Maya were the first ones to drink, to discover chocolate. So they had cacao beans and they would make like a chocolate drink. And so sometimes you can even, like if you see in a museum, you can see Mayan chocolate cups. All right, so that would say sun because it's close to the sun. All right, so I have my steps. I have my pyramid that goes up to the top. But I need some actual steps. These blocks are too big for people to walk on. So I want to do some actual stairs. So I'm going to take and I want you to watch this part carefully because it can be a little tricky. So I'm going to go from not quite the middle of my step pyramid here. And I'm going to draw a nice diagonal line that goes down to the bottom. And this will help my step pyramid to look more 3D too. So see my diagonal? I started at the top and I do a nice diagonal line that goes down. And after I've done that one, I'm going to do another one. Nice diagonal line that goes down. And then on the other side, I'm going to do that again. Diagonal, diagonal. Okay, and if you have access to an eraser, I put some on the tables and some pencils have them. You can erase the steps in between here. These would have been like the little, almost like railings, I guess you would call them, like the edges of the step here. So you don't necessarily need that line if you don't want to. Okay, and then I'm going to go through and make more stairs so that you can actually walk up them. So I'm just going to draw some nice horizontal lines inside the stairs to give us a place to walk up. And if you go to Mexico today, you can visit some of these Mayan ruins, which is amazing. It's so cool to be able to see what they built over 1,000 years ago has survived and still looks really cool. All right, so I've got my step pyramid. I've got a stele, which I will work on later. But now I need to finish up my landscape here. So I'm going to draw a nice line behind it. This will be my horizon line. My horizon line is where the sky meets the ground. Okay, you could do that a bumpy line if you want to. You can make it like curvy if you want it to be more hilly. I'm just kind of doing a flat line today. And when the Maya people would have had their big cities like Chichen Itza and Tikal, there would have been a lot of farmland around. But now there's more jungle because it's grown up somewhat. So I'm just going to draw some kind of like a bumpy line for some trees here. And I might even put in a couple of little trees here. And by little, I mean big trees. So I'm going to draw some trees on the edge of my horizon line here. And in my other class, I had some students that wanted to add some jungle animals. They put in some like parrots. Someone even put in a jaguar, which was really cool. So if you want to add some animals, that would be cool. You're more than welcome to do that. That sounds great. This looks pretty good so far. I think I'm just going to add a couple more details before I work on my stele. So I'm going to think about the sky. I'm just going to put a sun up here today. Maybe a little cloud. But you can decide what you want in your sky. Maybe it's raining, maybe there's a rainbow, maybe it's nighttime and you could see the moon and the stars, maybe it's cloudy. You kind of get to pick. You think about what you want in your sky up here, okay? All right, and then I might do a little path down here to get us to the step pyramid. So I just do 1 line, 2 lines, and I kind of curve mine a little bit. If you want to make them straight, you could also, let me show you a different way to do that if you want to. You could also have it come out this way, so it looks like you're walking up to it. totally up to you. I kind of like the curvy one, I think, myself, but you get to pick. You are the artist, and you get to pick how your path can go. All right, that looks really good. I'm really liking this. The last thing we're going to work on are my Mayan glyphs. And so the Maya had their own language, their own written language, and it was incredible. And we have these symbols, and a lot of what we know about their culture today comes from these glyphs that they would use. And so I found this nice handout here, and I'm going to use it to make a little, like a hidden message here. I will tell you though that it's a little interesting in the way that they would use it. And some of the letters that we use today are not there. Like if I were to write my name Burley, there's a B and there's an L, but there is no R, which makes it a little hard for me to write my name. But I might start with my name anyway. And when they would do it, they would start with the consonant, so my B sound, and then my next sound is U. So I would come over and see that they're using this shape here to make B and U together. And then they would combine it with the other sounds in that word. So then they would have Burley would be here. So my name would be a combination of the BU sound and the LE sound. So I'm going to start by writing my name at the top of this stele here. So I'm trying to copy this one, and it doesn't have to be exact. We're going to try our best, but I am not a Mayan artist. And these scribes, these people that would have written these glyphs, would have studied for years to get really good at the language. And so we're just trying our best. They don't have to be perfect, right? And then I'm going to come down to L plus E, which is this long oval with the 3 lines in the circle. So I'm going to do that for my name. 1, 2, 3, and I see it has a little circle on the bottom. So that's my name, more or less, in Maya glyphs. All right, so Burley, and then maybe I'll write loves art. Sounds good, right? So I'm going to start with my L, and I'm going to go find my O, so L-O, and then they don't have a true V sound, so I'm going to make, kind of making it up. So maybe I'll make a TZ sound, love, so I'm going to use these two, and then I'll use my S. Okay, so let's go back to that L. L-O. L-O, so I'm going to go ahead and, and draw this one here. And again, I'm not perfect at this. I don't expect you to be perfect, but it's kind of fun to think about how different people made different languages, isn't it? And how they would make a really complex writing. All right, so let's try these guys together. And you can kind of stack them on your worksheet. You can see that they stacked them in all different sorts of ways, which makes it really interesting for the archaeologists to figure out which to translate them. And they were obviously translating into English the way that I am trying to do right now. They were translating Mayan words, and so it would have been a little bit, it's obviously a different language, and it emphasizes different sounds. Okay, so Burley, loves, now let's try art. Okay, A-R, oh, no R. Okay, well, let's start with A at least. Okay. And your message doesn't have to say that. And you also don't have to make a message if you don't want. You can just make some cool, pick the ones that you think are kind of neat and copy some of them if you want. It doesn't have to be like a true sound, like a true thing that we can sound out. Okay, and then I'm going to pick one of these guys here. I'm going to do this one. Because it's really neat. They have their language written on their steles like this, but also on their temples and in their calendars and all over their art. And so if you are looking at a piece of Mayan architecture or a piece of Mayan art or an artifact, you can see what, if you can read it, which I really can't because I'm not an archaeologist, but I think it's really neat that archaeologists can study and see what they were, learn so much about people who lived thousands of years ago and know about them. Okay, and if you want to, you could add, I think that looks really cool. You could add some glyphs to your steps if you wanted, or you can do whatever you want. When you're done with that, I would like you to go ahead and use your colored pencils, and we're gonna work on adding some color into our picture. So I might start by coloring in my sun here. And we talked last week about being able to shade using value. So let's try that a little bit. My pyramid is actually gray, so I'm just going to use my pencil for this. And for my pencil, I can go color lightly where I want it to be lighter. And then if I want it to be darker along this stair, I can kind of press harder in order to make kind of a little bit of a shadow. And I can do that again on this one if I want to. And maybe there'd be a little bit of a shadow here too. So I'm going to press harder right here, and then I'm going to make it lighter as I come down. Okay, and you can even, if you want to, after you've kind of laid in your gray with your pencil, you can smudge it just a smidge with your finger, and it will blend it together and make it look really cool. I can do that with my stairs as well. I can add a little bit of a shadow to the bottom of the stair and then make it lighter. Little bit of a shadow, and then make it lighter. And this will make my stairs look more 3D and more interesting. So you can do that with your step pyramid with your pencil, but I can also do some of that technique with like other areas here. Like maybe I'm going to take my green here, and I'm going to press harder on the outside of this tree, and then shade lighter on the inside. Okay, and we'll just go ahead and take a little time. If you finish with all of your coloring, let me know and I will check them. I will check these before you leave. I also have a coloring sheet of some Mayan glyphs that I printed out, sorry. And so if you finish your Mayan and you want to just color some glyphs, let me know and we'll work on that. This is from Tikal, from the Maya city of Tikal. It's printed out from there. Okay.